not like the entire way our CBSE education system is. It's so fixed. Science है तो सिर्फ science है, commerce है तो सिर्फ commerce है. मैंने कहा नहीं, मुझे सबका थोड़ा-थोड़ा करना है.
MU is clearly a meritocracy. If you can work hard, you have talent, this place is for you.
When I was talking to my parents, the whole transfer thing, the first thing that was out of their mouth was, "Beta, not an option."
I did 1 or 2 startup weekends, and I was very, very clear that this is my college. I did not apply anywhere else. I did not want to go anywhere else. I wanted MU. I got MU. I'm in MU.
This is where you wanted to be?
Yeah. This is
What is not good at MU?
What is not good at MU?
Hi, I'm Yashovardhan Karnawat, a second-year undergrad student and an admission fellows vice president at Masters Union. I'm also a podcaster and hosted creators like Avanti Nagral, Ishan Sharma, and a few other big names.
What is Masters Union?
It's a new age B school, जिसके लिए I left an IIM admit, and that's been my best decision. So college तो definitely अच्छा है, but it's not meant for everybody. In fact, in the first 30 minutes of the conversation, where we'll talk about what are the kind of students at Masters Union, a lot of you will realize that this place is not meant for you. In the next 10 minutes, we'll talk about our admission stories as to how did our admission process go, and in the last 10 minutes, we'll give you very concise, to-the-point advice as to how can you ace the same process. Also, we'll give you insider information about how do you get a better scholarship, what are some hacks that you can use that probably nobody else will tell you. But before you tune in, we're creating a WhatsApp community for people like yourself, people who are interested in Masters Union or generally modern education. So the link is in the description. Please join that. Have a happy time watching this video. And how we thought about this table is that these are two UG 28 folks. These are two UG 27. I'm of course UG 27. And Sparsh is the only transfer student we have. She left NMIMS to come to Masters Union. As much as you want to talk bad about NMIMS, we're open to do that. For Masters Union also, you decide your experience.
I'm pretty sure that'll help a lot of people from joining NM.
Yeah.
No hate though.
Yeah. So quickly, this is Tanvee, this is Gunjan, this is Abhay. He was a cultural VP also, and he's Sparsh, who's very serious right now. Let's see what happens. Gunjan, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I can. So, hi, I'm Gunjan. I'm from Bangalore. We're both from Bangalore. Represent. And I graduated back in 2023, and so I got into most of the colleges I want to. I was mainly targeting Canada because I think that's just a Punjabi thing to go to Canada. I got into my dream college. I mean, back then I really wanted to get into University of Toronto, and I got there. There were certain family circumstances, and I had not really paid much attention to the Indian colleges, although I fairly got into good colleges like Symbiosis, Christ, NMIMS. But there were certain things due to which I couldn't go ahead and join the colleges over there. So I just said, okay, I want to experience what college life is. I don't want to take a total drop. So I joined a college which was just 30 minutes away from my place, and it was great, and I had a really, really good time.
What college is it?
It's called Mount Carmel College. Anushka Sharma, Deepika Padukone.
Oh, big people.
Oh,
Big people. Yes.
And Gunjan.
And
Gunjan,
Gunjan,
of course,
yes.
of course, me. So yeah, that was about how it all started. So I discovered Masters Union only, I think, 4 days before the deadline.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like so there was a point where I wanted to obviously I was preparing for IPMAT because everyone does that at some point of
Same.
their time.
Oh,
Their
everybody.
life.
You?
Yeah.
Yeah, even me.
Dan is an IPMAT
IPMAT
panel. So no MU
Yeah,
panel.
let's move to IIM Indore.
Let's go.
Yeah, fair.
Right. So I was basically preparing for IPMAT. 6 months down the lane, I quit college, dropped out, preparing for IPMAT. Suddenly, I come across drop shipping video, and my journey for Masters Union started from there. 4 days before the deadline, recorded a video, put in I had nothing that I thought that would work out. I was just simply filled out a form, and now I'm here.
Yeah, we're all happy to have you here.
Yes.
Yeah, Tanvee, what's your story?
So I like to describe myself as a creatorpreneur, but I wasn't always that way. I had your typical story of like a very, very shy girl, completely introverted, could barely speak in front of people, to slowly getting opportunities because I began with my interest in public speaking. So because I was put on stages, because I was academically smart, I got a lot of other opportunities to put myself out there, show my creativity. So through things like dance, debating, art, and in general other intellectual pursuits, I got a lot of opportunities to really bring out my inner Tanvee.
Yeah.
and I'm actually so grateful for that, because that is what has led me to MU. So I've had a completely different journey from Gunjan. Uh, I heard about MU back in 11th grade. So yeah, with the commencement of your UG batch, I heard of it, and I was at the campus as well in March of 23. I did 1 or 2 startup weekends, and I was very, very clear that this is my college. I did not apply anywhere else. I did not want to go anywhere else. I wanted MU. I got MU. I'm in MU.
Yeah.
That's-
2 things. One, she
Clean.
started by saying that I was a shy kid. And then she said 12 things that she does in life. Basically, she left nothing for others to do. But yeah, fair.
Mhm.
This is where you wanted
So,
to be.
Yeah, this is
What
where
is
I
not
wanted
good
to
at
be.
MU?
What is not good at MU? If I'm being very, very honest, I am pleasantly surprised and overwhelmed, because I expected there would be some amount of mismanagement. I expected there would be. I just didn't expect everything to turn out so well, especially academically.
So you're not giving us any controversial
No.
thing. Fair.
It's
Sparsh,
diplomacy.
what's been
Diplomacy
your
is where
story
it's at.
then?
Right. So, well, I'm born and brought up here in Gurgaon, 18 years. Right. Spent my entire schooling in Delhi. I was a very serious CUET candidate, more than IPMAT actually. I was more focused on CUET, wanted to get into Delhi University, do my own thing there, build something.
Yeah.
The focus was never to study actually, right? But surprisingly, I was decent at academics. Applied to NMIMS because my mother forced me to. Right.
easy.
Actually, even was about to miss the exam, but again, my mother forced me to give the exam, even though I was sick, 103 degrees fever. But well, you've got to do what your mom says, right? Essentially. So wanted to, I knew about MU before applying to NMIMS, but didn't know that a UG program existed in the first place.
Right.
So got into Delhi University, but probably did not get into the desired college. Tried that college out. I got into Shahid Bhagat Singh. Didn't like it. Messed up on my preferences. Maybe it was fate. I was in Mumbai back then. Messed up in preferences. Got Shahid Bhagat Singh. Tried out Shahid Bhagat Singh. Traveled back and forth from Mumbai, from NMIMS to Bhagat Singh, like maybe 2 times, 3 times, 4 times.
To do what?
Just to try it out.
Oh, so you're already in NMIMS?
I was in NMIMS. Came back to Delhi when Bhagat Singh was about to start. Attended for 2 days. Surprisingly, sat in the class, but didn't attend lectures, not because of myself, but because the teachers did not show up.
Huh? You're talking about Delhi University.
Delhi University.
Okay.
That's
And
right.
Shahid Bhagat Singh is one of the good South Campus
Good
colleges,
South
one of the,
Campus
let's say, top
colleges.
12 colleges.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was decently okay with Shahid Bhagat Singh, but once I went over there, the first guy I spoke to, he was like, I just did not feel that, it would be a space where I could perhaps make friends in, or perhaps find people that I could relate with. So, did not like that.
Or the kind of people you can relate to?
Preferably more like the panel that we have today, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to do something or the other. Everybody has worked hard for their entire lives, right? Everybody wanted to do IPMAT. Ended up at MU. So somewhat similar in that sense.
Bonding point.
Right. So preferably, I don't mean to sound any kind of like a privileged kid, but perhaps there's a certain economic level to which you can relate to, right? So perhaps maybe that, perhaps maybe on the intellectual side, perhaps different experiences altogether. So spent a lot of time in Bhagat Singh, like 2 days, entire day in Bhagat Singh. Tried that out, did not like it, flew back to Mumbai. Very hard decision. Funny thing, the day I flew back to Mumbai, came to MU before just to ask them, is it possible that I can get something? Is it possible that I can still give an interview? Is it possible that I can still give the test and get in? They said no. right?
Yeah.
Tried to pull a few strings, did not work. These guys cut the strings off by my very fingertips. Right? So maybe that tells you something about their integrity.
It's a good thing, no?
That's a good
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, right? Probably not back then, but now, yeah, it's a good thing. So spent 1 year in NMIMS, did not like it. Maybe the city, maybe the college. Part of the reason to come back was also because of home.
Mm-hmm.
I won't lie about that. But majority part was maybe did not sit well with the city. I did
Yeah.
not sit well with the city. I did not like the college, the pedagogy as such. Came back.
Mhm.
Now here at MU.
Yeah, you highlighted two things. One, that in both the top, Shahid Bhagat Singh is a decently good college,
Yeah,
and NMIMS is considered as a achievement. At least, so I am from Jaipur, and whenever somebody from Jaipur goes to NMIMS, it's a good thing that they've gone to a
Right,
good college.
Right.
You said that both these places miss the zeal that you find over here.
That's right.
Yeah, the people over here are just basically, I think the main answer you gave when I said that, what are the people you connect to? You said that people who want to do something in life are the
That's
people
right.
you connect to.
That's right.
Makes sense. Yes, Mr. Shinoy, what is your story?
Firstly, well spoken. I think what I just realized from what he said is that the integrity part, right? I commend that about MU because I think MU is clearly a meritocracy. It does not, while we all might come
Yes.
from economic status, if you want to thrive here, it does not matter whether you come from a rich family or you're
Yeah.
not that rich. If you can work hard, you have talent, I think this place is for you. And because of that, it's amazing to see how hard people work. And I was like, damn, that was a
Yeah.
good point. But yeah, a little about my story was that I think I've always been the guy who's wanted to do like the next big thing. And I, like you guys, I did not exactly follow the conventional route always. This all started when my dad gave me a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm sure all of you must have heard of that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Read it.
yeah, that's when I had my first zeal for entrepreneurship. I'm like, damn, this guy's cool. Like, he made money out of nowhere. And I knew I wanted to do that. So my 10th got over. I went to a school very close to my home. I was very unexposed of sorts because, yeah, I was unexposed. And then COVID hit, and that time, like, my life sort of turned around. Like, I didn't know anything of sorts because everything went digital. And also, I was like a science kid, so I took PCMC. I was trying to get into JEE. But why I was doing this was I knew that now I wanted to be an entrepreneur. But how do I get there? Like, I had to prove to my family, to everyone else, to attain certain credibility that will allow me to pursue my interests. Because again, you come from a family backing, right? They want you to get into a good college and all that. So I thought IT is best for me. No one will ever say anything after I get into IT. I can do whatever I want. That's what I thought. So I started preparing for that. But right around that time, COVID hit. And like things changed. I was not able to focus. I was at home all the time. My dad got COVID, my mom got COVID, and I got COVID. So by the time I could get started for IDG, all of my batchmates were way ahead. And I lost that interest. But I was 15 then, right? Right around this time, somebody like reached out to me, my brother's friend. He used to work at a startup. He's like, hey, I'm doing the sales internship. Do you want to be part of it? I'm like, sure. Like, I've always wanted to do something like this. And he was like validating me. I got in. And this was basically like just sales. It was an edtech startup called Unschool. And
Such a cool name, though.
yeah, Unschool.
Yeah.
But the startup was not that cool. They actually
Yeah.
turned out to be like a modern MLM.
Oh.
Where you buy their course and then you intern with them.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of you
MLM
will
is?
multi-level marketing, where basically they get you to buy something and then they get you to sell it. And then this creates a whole chain that's damn long.
Yeah.
So I joined in when I was 15, and by the time I left, I was 16. I worked there for 9 months, and it was crazy, right? I learned how to sell. Even though I didn't make much, and I worked for 9 months. Can you guess how much I made?
Lower 4 figures.
Guess. 9 months.
Monthly 3,000, 5,000 rupees, 40,000, 30,000.
No, lesser.
4K.
Lesser.
That's all.
2,500.
Has to be 2,000 a month. That's it.
2,000, yeah.
I made 3,000
Now,
Total?
I was the closest.
in 9 months.
Oh.
In 9 months. Basically, they paid me nothing, but I made them like 1.1 lakh.
Oh.
That is selling one course. That's 2,000. That's why it explains 9 months. But clearly, it didn't pay me well, but I learned how to sell.
And you got confidence that you can sell things.
Yeah. For the first time, so during this time, I was preparing for IIT, so my parents didn't want me to do all this. So I had a button phone that I bought. So I would go out of my home and take calls on that. I would do sales on that and come back. My dad, because this is a new thing, right? Internship at 15.
Yeah.
What happens to college then?
Yeah.
But I didn't get bothered by that. I was just excited. I was just like, wow, I'm talking to someone who's much older than me. I'm talking to parents. I'm selling to people younger. Different ways of selling for each person, right? And then in 9 months, I grew up the ladder also. I got interns and all that. And I'm not telling them my age. They're in college, final year.
Yeah.
And so that was crazy for me to see that how effective communication can get you anywhere.
So true.
That was crazy. But by the time I was done with this, I'm in 12th. 1 year COVID happened, I'm in 12th.
Yeah.
I'm like, shit, boards. So first thing I did was I left everything behind. I was like, now I have to do something in boards. But during this phase, I ensured I'm studying really hard. Because I knew that grades, of course, do matter. So I had to do something to like score well in 12th. And I did that. I picked up studying for long, long hours. I started studying for 12 hours, 13 hours. And I'm not kidding, like in IIM Indore, there used to be like 150 seats.
Yeah.
So I wrote that in like a red pen and then cut out the paper and burnt it. And then put it on my ceiling.
Oh God.
So every day I wake up to 150. So I had to like come and study to do well. And by the end of 12th, I scored 89.6%. So that's exactly 90%.
Yeah.
For the first time in my life. I was always like an averagely academic kid. So the first time, like for me, hard work paid off. And I realized I can actually do things that I thought I couldn't do, like scoring well.
Yeah.
So I had sales done, hard work done. And then I'm like, okay, JEE is not happening. You can't do anything with boards, right? So even for all of you listening, boards can't get you into a good college unless you crack entrances.
Are you saying they should not study for boards?
No study for boards.
Parents are gonna be after your life.
It's essential. If you're planning for abroad, then it's very
that's
important.
true,
Like
that's
that's
true.
why
Thank
I
you for
was-
covering. Otherwise, parents will.
No. Like, see, boards are very important, but in India, the importance of
True.
boards is sort of fading away.
The board is themselves decreasing. Important.
After the introduction of CUET, it's gone even more down. So continue.
Boards like in marketing, we studied this thing called hygiene factor, motivational factor. Hygiene is the basic satisfactory thing that you need. So without boards, first get your boards done and then try to crack these entrances. But so then I was like, okay, IIT is not happening. What's the next thing that can get me credibility? IIM. That's when they had their first, I think, second, third batch of IIM Indore, Rohtak. I was like, okay, let's do this. So I joined an online coaching, took a drop year. Big decision. I'm a kid that does not know anything. I somehow convinced my parents. I think I did all this because I was not ready to go to college.
Yeah.
The main
Actually,
factor
I also took a gap year, and it was the same reason.
because you were not ready.
Yeah.
I think it's always the same reason.
Yeah. No, but my parents would have not been okay with. It's an absurd reason to give to your parents.
Exactly.
So I said the same thing that I want to do IPMAT and to go to the best college of India,
Yeah.
and I said take a gap year. But yeah, continue.
Because I've seen it firsthand. My brother is an engineering student. He's 2 years older than me. So I've seen him in college, I've seen his friends in college. Nice people, but they're not, they didn't excite me. And I was like, this is where I want to be. My internship that I did seemed more exciting than everything they were doing. I was like, I'm not ready to go to an engineering normal college. I didn't know what was not normal.
Yeah.
MU didn't exist back then.
Yeah.
I just knew I didn't want to go. So after that, in my drop year, 6 months in, I'm like, shit, this is making me sad. Studying so long, all my friends are gone, right?
Yeah.
Drop year is a very
It's a
lonely
lonely
phase to
time.
be in. You
Yes.
must know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Even you know.
Yeah, I would know.
I think suddenly it makes you more mature because you're just you're sitting
100%.
with
So
your-
much introspection to do, and it's
you're just sitting with your own thoughts all the time.
Yeah,
But
even when I was in college, essentially, I was not there because I was doing so many different things because I knew that this is not where I want to be permanently.
Yeah.
So I was, again, like I could relate with Abhay that he was calling random people. Even I did something similar. I was calling random people. They're like, in different parts of our country, and I'm just calling them. I'm like, hey, do you want to attend this psychology event hosted by
Yeah.
this particular company? So yeah, I get Abhay, and I mean, in my drop year, I ended up doing a lot of things. Like I got really deep within myself in terms of like I went for yoga courses. I did a lot of introspection. So I actually do
Yeah.
agree with Abhay in that.
Right. I think though there's one thing that I have to, in that sense, applaud you guys for, right? When I was talking to my parents about the whole transfer thing, about shifting colleges in the first place, right? The first thing that was out of their mouth was, "Beta, college chhodna is not an option, right? Taking a drop year, saal kharab karna is not an option." For them, it was very clear.
Yeah, it's a big deal for them.
So-
it is.
I think
Right,
it's
so
an
I think-
India thing also.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think there's one thing that we need to understand, that although, from my perspective also, I was very clear about it that I do not want to take a drop year. After NMIMS 1 year, after spending 1 year over there, I was very sure that I don't want to take a drop year. But the fact that, it's looked down upon so much,
Yeah.
that's something that, it's so sad that there's something that should be done about it, right? That people who do take a drop year, for example, you guys, right? You were from a science background, right? So shifting your streams altogether from perhaps pursuing engineering to
Yeah.
management, right?
Yeah.
You do need some time to, just go through that phase, right? And the fact that it's still looked down upon is just really sad.
It was a
Definitely.
little different for me. I'm not from a science background. So I had a mixture of both commerce and humanities students. I convinced my principal because, see, I was a very experimentative child since. Yeah, because I don't know.
As in,
I
your
think-
parents experimented or you?
No, no,
See,
see,
I didn't
What do you mean?
no, no. It's just that I don't know. I think I'm very unconventional in my thinking patterns. And so 11th grade down, I was like, it was a huge month. Like I took PCM, I left PCM. I was like, commerce nahi achhi lag rahi. Humanities bhi puri nahi karni, nahi to log bolenge nalle ho.
If you're studying humanities, it's okay.
Yeah.
No,
I
see,
respect
this coming from a
Yeah, we all
humanities
do.
kid. This is coming from a humanities
No,
kid.
but the stigma is so real.
Fight.
No.
Why
I
would
was
you
also
fight?
humanities with maths and commerce. Okay, listen, no, just what I'm trying to borderline say is I do not like the entire way our CBSE education system is. It's so fixed, all the streams, like science है तो सिर्फ science है, PCB है तो सिर्फ PCB है, commerce है तो सिर्फ commerce है. मैंने कहा नहीं, मुझे सबका थोड़ा थोड़ा करना है.
Makes
So
sense.
I went up to my principal and I was like, first thing that I proposed to her, I was like, give me physics, math, psychology and economics. She was like, beta, what?
Is this a CBSE school?
It's a CBSE
How
school.
is that possible?
So you didn't get them?
No, obviously I didn't get
Yeah,
them. So we had to make compromises because I back then I really enjoyed physics. So I was like, physics padhte hain. But then she was like, bro, what? No. So I went up to her and I went up to her again. I was like, okay, ma'am, I get it. You're not vibing with me here. But I was like, let's do this. What if I kept maths? So I somehow, I'm not good at math in any way. Like I'm very average in math. But I somehow understand the importance of math. Like today, I'm very happy that I had math in 11th and 12th, and I had proper engineering math. I made sure they don't give me applied mathematics. I know I was a little, torturous on myself like that, where I had to do integration, differentiation, like you guys. But I just somehow, it's a very important subject. I mean, even till date when we have classes, we are studying business, but I see so much math everywhere, like especially Nandini ma'am's classes.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, because she actually tells you where your math is being used in business case scenario.
So I think
I think for me, I have a very similar story.
Yeah.
Back in 7th, 8th grade, I was very, very sure that psychology karni hai. This is going to be my career now. 9th grade came, 10th grade came, COVID came. I started reconsidering, okay, is this the kind of lifestyle that I want? If I want to pursue psychology as a career, I know कि जो भी करूँगी बहुत अच्छे से करूँगी. So practically speaking, at that point in time, there wasn't a lot of scope in India. So in order to actually pursue psychology as a career, you would have to go abroad. Not that I minded it. It was actually a very glamorous idea to me back then. but I was a little bit unsure. And at the same time, having participated in a few entrepreneurship competitions and, having been familiar with sort of the business environment, I knew that, okay, this is something I'm interested in as well. So being a CBSE kid as well, I did not have the option to go both ways, have my cake and eat it too. So what I had was a combination of political science, English, psychology, applied maths and economics. And to this date, I will tell you, and I swear by this, I will tell you that at that point, I hated my subjects, but if I could go back, I would not change a single thing. Because honestly, you study political science and you're like, kya faltu subject hai? But then you realize that, okay, there are actually functioning adult human beings that go on about their lives without such essential knowledge. And I think, her subject, at least basic level tak sabko padna chahiye. Sabko padna chahiye.
So I think one context you all have said is that MU is not a place where it's only ki startup people aayenge. It's people who are academically oriented also. And it's not just ki people जो लोग का अच्छे academic colleges में नहीं होता वो MU आ जाते हैं. Not like that. And you're in fact you're both emphasizing that masters, and then for your life it's important to do Acads properly. Fair, I think liked your advice on that. Acads kar lo अच्छे से. Do you want to continue with your intro?
But right where I left off, I basically joined a public speaking club called Toastmasters. I went there and I'm like, wow, I can get really good at speaking to people, and it made me happy. I realized I'm a very social person. So post that, what I did was I found this new hobby of talking to strangers. And this changed my life. Effectively, I think that's the reason I'm here in Masters Union today. And everything that has happened to me was because of a series of events where I decided to do something that was not planned for me. Maybe it was planned for me, but I decided to pursue it. Like talking to a random stranger at a shawarma place at 10 p.m. in Bangalore, right? This guy, he's walking by, he's a YouTuber with 200,000 subscribers and a Forbes 30 under 30 entrepreneur. I look at him, I'm like, is that him? I'm telling my friend we're eating a shawarma. I'm like, I keep this shawarma. I rush to him. I'm like, and I've literally watched him while I grew up. His name is Curious Harish, basically the founder of Blue Lawn. And I went to him like, wow, I love your work. And I just commended him, like very authentic, with being authentic, out of curiosity. And after that, what happens is, since then, my life takes a whole turn. And very quickly, I'll tell you the series of events. Next day, Blue Lawn had gotten funding of $3 million.
Blue Lawn is a startup of Harish.
Yeah, startup that was founded by Harish, who's like a 23-year-old then. He's fairly young, like 2 years older than me now, 22 or something. And he got funded, right? So then they had to make like a video for the funding, the brand video of Blue Lawn. And they needed a student. Now, because I went and approached him, he's like, who's the guy who can literally come next day morning and be in like the video? They called me up, hey bro, like I remember you from the previous night. Do you want to be in the video? I was like, sure. And the next day, I'm the face of that video. And I get to speak in that video. And suddenly, every person who knew Blue Lawn knew me. Distribution. And since then, like things have been very different. After that, now I knew that, okay, I basically left studying behind for IPMAT. And that's when Masters Union came up. And then I'm like, okay, this is somewhere I want to be. So right before, when Masters Union came up, I was like, okay, I want to be here because it's like they claim to be an entrepreneurship school where I can actually start something. And I applied. But I still wasn't very sure about it because I'm being honest, they charged a very hefty fee. And economically, for my family, this did not make sense at all. It was like probably going abroad to one of these countries that are less expensive. But I was like, I need to do something about this. I need a scholarship. And I had to do something to get a scholarship. So what I did, to improve my extracurriculars, right? Because extracurriculars play a very important role in your scholarships here at MU. I was like, let me start a podcast. And then because I met that guy on the road, I was like, hey, please be a part of my podcast. So suddenly, I'm the face of his brand video, and then he's on my podcast, and I get his distribution because he shares on his story. And very soon, even after just one episode, I started telling people, yeah, I run a podcast. It has a Forbes 30 under 30 entrepreneur. And that's all, right? I cracked a 50% scholarship at MU. That's a later story. But before MU's admission cycle was done, but MU still didn't release its final verdict if I'm in or not. So in that time, I got to work with them. they hired me.
Okay.
And this was my first ever big paycheck, straight out of talking to a stranger. They hired me, and suddenly I'm in this huge office, a lot of young guys. This is like Silicon Valley, but in India and Bangalore. Like a lot of young guys who are hustling, building products overnight in one office. And I got into it. I'm like, wow, this is what it means to run a startup, and this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I was still reconsidering MU. I was like, I might not want to go to college at this point. I'd come to a position where I was not ready to go to college before the drop year. And in the drop year, I'm like, I'm not going to college. But then I took the decision to, they had a deadline. I'm a round 1 applicant. So usually round 1 people you get more scholarships in the round 1.
Important.
Yeah. Which also means you have a very tight deadline. I had 7 days to decide whether I wanted to be part or not. And right around that, they hosted a startup weekend. A startup weekend is where you get to experience the taste of Masters Union. I fly down here, and first time like going alone in a flight, I think. But I come to Masters Union, and startup weekend happens. That's where I met a lot of my batchmates. Did you come in the round 1?
No,
right?
I wasn't.
Yeah, a lot of our batchmates were all there, right, in the first startup weekend. And it was crazy to see that overnight we were building on an idea and we were actually building it. This is what I wanted to do.
But these people who, as Sparsh said, are the people who have the zeal want to do something.
And round 1 applicants, which means all of these guys are risk takers. They see MU, they wanted it, and they came. And crazy stuff happened. I met my current roommate in the startup weekend. His name is Arya. He's like the music club rep here. So I and him connect on such different levels. Like when I spoke to him, like, wow, he's also like me. He wants to do some crazy shit. Regardless of what he wants to do, he just wants to keep like doing stuff. We meet in the startup weekend, we win the startup weekend. The first ever startup weekend that happened at MU, we won it. And I'm like, bro, do you want to be my roommate? And currently, he's my roommate, right? After that experience, I was like, these are the guys I want to be around. I think one common trait about MU is that it does not matter if you're the smartest or more academically oriented. There's one common trait, and that's hunger.
Absolutely.
And all of us know that people, like, if you are hungry, if you're putting yourself out there for more opportunities, you'll do better than a guy who's smarter than you, more talented than you. Just because you're like going out there for opportunities. And yeah, that's been my life. I came here, and like I said, always chasing the next big thing. Elections happened. I stood up for elections, became the first vice president of the first batch.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now I'm on the Yasho podcast.
That's the bigger deal.
The bigger deal, the next big thing.
But I think that's the biggest and the primary selling point at Masters Union. You come here to increase your surface area for luck. That's the one thing, the biggest takeaway I've had in my 1 month here. You come here on a plate. There are 3 opportunities served to you. Please come, take it. And you know what the thing is about our batch specifically, we're such entrepreneurial kids, we're such enterprising people. We don't even need opportunities to be served up to us. I will come up to Yasho and be like, hey, listen, I know you're doing this. I'm interested. Let's do something together. That's what all of us do. And I think that is why this peer group holds so much value to all of us and was such a big selling point for me for Masters Union.
The part I like the most in these things right now, what happened is that we all set the context as Masters Union ka jo crowd hai, the students studying over here are the people what we like the most. Do we all agree now on this? And second is that it does not need to be the smartest, the talented, the anything. You just need to be the people who show up. Moving on, we've understood what are the kind of people who come to MU, and now you can take a call if Masters Union is a place you want to come and you'll fit in. Okay, so you all told that what's the background history. Can you all touch upon a bit on how was the admission process like for you all? For you, I'm sure it was very different, but for all the other people, how was the admission process?
Should I start?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so like I mentioned, I was very clear I wanted to get into MU. So the very first day that I heard, okay, admissions have opened, that was October 1st, 2023. October 2nd, 2023, I finished my application and hit submit. And I think to me, that was probably one of the best things that I've done for myself. Just putting myself out there. I did not hold back in the admission essays. My video was very, very well crafted and thought out because I was like, okay, this has to be where I sell myself. This time I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to throw all humility out of the window. And this is really my time to put myself out there and prove to them that this is where I belong.
Mm-hmm.
And so for
Yeah.
me, I think the video was one of the things that helped me secure a scholarship. And after that, we had the interview in person here. I had a very, very good experience at the GD. So as a part of the admission process, we all had one interview with Risha Komal ma'am, who is the head of admissions.
So rather it was Swati for you. It was Swati.
No,
Yeah.
Swati ma'am
The director.
still did take
Yeah.
some interviews.
Yeah, so it was varied for our batch. I think I was in the first round, so it was a little bit different for us. And we had a group discussion where we were given a case study on Ola, Uber, something like that. And we had to, come up with innovative solutions. And I think that was really my first taste of what it really means to be at MU. Because imagine you're coming, interviewing, and you've prepped questions like, okay, tell me about yourself and, what have you, abhi tak kya ukhada hai zindagi mein. But you come there and they make you actually consider what a career in business is like. What, for me, for example, I want to consider consulting as a very serious career option.
Yeah.
So my very first intro to MU was a consulting case. So
Makes sense.
yeah,
Mhm.
that was
Yeah, and admissions process is sort of like it's a mini like the starter weekend. It's a mini taste to what MU is actually.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Sense.
What was it feel like you?
So the admission process was the same thing, right? Whatever these guys went through, I was with them actually, right, in the third round.
Oh, acha.
Yeah, exact same. I was with them in the group discussion as well. So I had a little bit of taste of case interviews back in NMIMS because I had a friend of mine who kept pushing me for
Doing
teaming
it,
up, right? So I had a little taste of that, so I knew what to look for in that sense. So I was very excited. Okay, one day before the group discussion, before the interview, I sat down. I called up my brother, who also gave in the interview but did not join here, by the way. So I called him up, भाई करना क्या है यार इसमें, ठीक है? Said, अरे टेंशन मत ले, it's just an interview about you. कहता है you focus on the interview. I know for a fact you'll be able to do the case study. हम बनिया लड़के हैं यार, कर लेंगे. Business तो हमारे खून में है. तो I said ठीक है यार, वो बस कह रहा है तो it's fine. I don't mind. So went through that entire process. Enjoyed the group discussion. Was very vocal throughout. Had an interview with Utsav, not Swati, not anyone else.
Utsav is an associate director.
Yeah. Very chill guy, right? I did not even know who he is. I thought maybe he's a random teacher. Had a very casual conversation. With him. No, he was very chill with me, right? He was like, "Hi, buddy, what's up?" I was like, "Hey, are you sure you're taking an interview?" So went through that process. Then I got an admission. Then I was like, "Ma'am, but मेरे को fresh admission तो चाहिए ही नहीं था. मेरे को lateral entry चाहिए." I applied for a lateral entry by just sending them an email that I want a lateral entry. They asked for my transcripts, sent them that, everything happened. I was very confident at that time because I had decent grades at NMIMS. So I was like, okay, आ ही जाएगा यार, देखी जाएगी, ठीक है. So next day I was sitting with a friend, got an email from said UG admissions. I thought, okay, hoga. Opened the email, said rejected.
Oh.
Right, rejected from lateral entry.
Plot twist.
Yeah, it was a plot twist for me. Imagine, right?
That's a happy story. हो गया.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, ठीक. Ended up getting a meeting again with Swati. I just wrote to her. I booked her Calendly. I said, "Ma'am, okay, let's see what we can do." So I just cold called her like that. I just shot my shot to say it like that, right? I said, "Ma'am, is there anything that can be done? Because fresh entry is not something that I'm going to do. That is for sure for me." So that went on for like 2 or 3 meetings more. She looked at my transcripts. She looked at my course outlines. I think it must have spanned over like at least 1 hour long meetings. So at the end, she was like, all right, cool. What we'll do is we'll conduct a few exams for you for the subjects that the first year students have already given. If you pass those exams, you're in. But we know for a fact that, given your grades, you're going to be able to do that. Right. So I don't want to hoot my own horn, but yeah, so she said that I admire the culture, the hustle spirit that you have, that you've been after my life in the past few days. and I think you'll be a good fit over here. You're going to do something well over here. So she said, just, we're going to talk about those exams. It's going to be a piece of cake for you. Don't
Yeah.
worry about that. And welcome to MU.
Yeah, let's go. Welcome to MU.
That's
Welcome
amazing.
to MU.
Yeah.
Yeah. So also what I liked when you were speaking about this, for all the viewers over here, the point is that they spend a lot of time on admissions, on selecting students, which is clearly what happened in your case.
Right.
And when you spend a lot of time on admission, on deciding who to give an admission and not to give an admission, it just makes the crowd so much more better in that sense. Let's start with the admission process. Our admission process is essentially a 3-step process where you start with your video introduction, basic details about you. Once you clear that round, you go and give an aptitude test, which is a logical test mostly. And then the third round is where you have your group discussion and interview. So each of the rounds have their own reasonings and rationales, which we'll talk about. And we'll give you very quick, concise advice that you can implement to optimize for your chances of admissions. Quickly, can all of us just give anybody who's watching this tips about how do you optimize for your chances to get in this place in each of the rounds? Anybody can take up. Let's start with how do you do the best video essay? He's the video person. Tell, how do you do the best video essay?
So I'll tell you how I made it different. Everyone's probably sitting down and taking a video. I called my friend who understands video. He had a gimbal. So I did a moving shot where I showed them that I have body language, like how I'm on camera, and use entities beyond just speaking to I used a board to I had basic pointers written. So I actually could just look and then explain. I would show them the board. And then I ensured that I got someone to edit the video also. I basically went all out. And so when I edited the video, all of it just came well together.
Yeah.
And just put your best self out there in the video.
So it's basically saying that that everything you have to do for the admission process, you have to optimize for. It's an opportunity for you to show them how you're different.
Exactly.
And then you get rewarded for putting in extra effort.
And they specifically mentioned you don't have to have a highly edited video, but I did it.
Extra effort.
Yeah, for the scholarship test, do we have any tips, the academic people?
Honestly, they give you a very long and comprehensive list of practice questions. If you start to attempt those, you'll start losing your mind. And this is coming from someone who did actually prepare for IPMAT. So please take a chill pill. I think rely more on your abilities for logical reasoning. Think things like blood relations, direction tests, very, very basic concepts like that. And another very important part of it was quants. I am not particularly great at maths, but I think it was fairly decent. And they might change this in the coming years, but for us, if you had a score of say 35 on 40, you would get a guaranteed
45 it is?
Sorry, 35 out of 45. You would get a guaranteed 20% scholarship.
Although I have a very important point to make here, it's not about LR, quants or DI. Everybody who asks me about this question, I think it's your weak area. So it could be quants for you, it could be LR for you, it could be DI for you. So whenever someone asks me how should I go about this, I say target the area which you're the most weak at. So if I was weak at quants, I would do like 10-15 quants questions. Or if you're weak at data, do more of what you're weak at. And in that way, you'll be able to optimize that better. Because essentially, unlike an entrance exam, here there is no negative marking in the MU scholarship test. So it's about optimization rather than, skipping on questions just to save that 1 point or get the 4 marks, because it's all equally graded.
And it's also that you have to score decently high. I think it's 80% almost to get a scholarship, which means that you have to be good in all the things. Group discussions, who had the best group discussion?
Right. Essentially, I think more than what your points are, what matters is how well you're speaking, right? One thing that maybe I can be wrong over here, but one thing that I've seen with regards to MU is that they want people who can speak confidently, right? They don't want people who are shy in that respect. They're not very confident in public speaking. They're a little bit apprehensive of that, right? At least that's what I've seen in my experience. All our batchmates are very good public speakers, right? So essentially the trick is to, just speak, right? It does not have to be that, your solution is valid or not valid. It does not matter, right? What matters is how well you speak, how well you listen to others, right? I think the most important thing apart from that is that you have to be very diplomatic in that sense. You have to be polite, you have to listen to others, you have to make sure that you're not cutting anybody off, right? More than anything, more than about, because you're just fresh out of class 12th, right? You're fresh out of school. You're not expected to, handle such
that makes so much
a
sense.
big
Yeah.
enterprise
Yeah.
problem, right? So it's okay with that, right? You don't
Yeah.
have to stress a lot about what kind of solutions you're giving. Just speak anything, that's fine. Don't cut anybody off.
But more than
That's what
speaking,
worked for me.
More than speaking, what I feel is like, so in my GD it was totally opposite. In my GD no one was speaking, so I had to sort of lead them to speak. So I was going on like, hey, what is your point? This is my point. So that
Which
can
was
also-
leadership, which I'm assuming they'll appreciate.
They would
Yeah.
appreciate you, because I was like, I gave my pointers and then there was drop dead silence, and I was like, what do I do now? So I started saying, okay, what do you think about this? So it can be like totally opposite scenarios, and in that
Correct.
scenario they just say, ki, how are you doing your best? How are you putting your best footing in that particular scenario? So it can be different. It's not. Speaking is, yes, a very important thing, but I think taking advantage of whatever the opportunity is being thrown upon you is that like for me it was leadership at that point. It could be
Makes
something else at that point. So, but yeah, don't stay quiet.
Okay.
So on that same note, so since we are the first batch, we actually got the privilege to take the group discussion with these guys. So a couple of the 28 batch, I have actually taken their group discussion when I was also part of admission fellows. So MU does this crazy thing where they actually involve us in admissions, right? And this is also a way for us to learn how to sell, pitch ourselves. So I was taking a group discussion. I know exactly what metrics are determined. So all the people's names are here, and then there's columns on which we grade you out of 5. And then we calculate your final scores. And that's exactly how we know who's performed the best in GDs. And I'd say the interview is the more important part. DG is just for your whole holistic view. Focus on the interview more. And GD just, I'll tell you the metrics.
Yeah.
So essentially, I remember from what I remember, how you communicate. How you communicate is one, and how creative you are with your ideas, and how you are as a team person. Are you allowing the other people to speak? Are you being an effective team person, or are you overpowering the conversation? Trust me, in the group discussion, there's times where somebody thinks the more you speak, the better you are. No. I had a group discussion with 5 folks, and the person to get the most amount of scholarship was the guy who almost spoke not much, right? He was very concise with what he said. So it's a whole cumulative thing. Creativity, your ideas, your communication, how you work in teams, and how you're presenting your idea. Essentially that much.
Yeah.
And you'll do great.
Do talk.
One tangible thing before we end group discussion is that, and I'm an admission fellows VP, and I keep interacting with a lot of these students. And one tip that I will always give is that be the first one to speak. Everybody comes and prepares. You have your own style of preparation. The moment you started, you make the conversation in a way where your preparation is the one where everybody is gonna address to, and then you naturally become a leader in that sense, because now everybody starts automatically addressing to you. So moving to personal interview, I think personal interview is one thing that people would think that's a very stressful thing. They'll ask me some random, let's say, advanced math question or something, but it's actually only a conversation. I think it's similar to what this is right now.
Right.
You told me off camera that you had the best personal interview you have heard about. So
Right. So I think with personal interviews, when I was sitting right outside the interview room, a guy went and he came out in 30 seconds. 30 seconds of a PI. And then we all determined that, okay, 30 seconds, he's not going to get in. But he's here. So essentially, what they're going to do is, if they already think you have that caliber, so don't let the time of the interview determine it. When I went in, I was trying to drag it as much as possible. So Swati ma'am was interviewing me, and she asked me a few quick questions, like about why I think I'm the right fit for MU, couple of stories, and then she was done. And I was like, no, this is not, I'm not good enough. 2 minutes, and she's like, cool, we're done. And then when she said, do you have any questions for me? I took that opportunity to start having a conversation with her beyond that. So I asked her a couple of questions about her life, why she's doing this role, etc. And then I finally had a really long interview where everyone else was out in like 2 minutes, right? So ensure that you are using that opportunity to also get more time to speak. But apart from that, I also know folks who had their interviews, and their interview has just been about what places you have traveled. So we have this guy called Dion Cardoza, one of the most talented
100%.
guys in our batch. And his whole interview was essentially Miss Swati and him talking about the places they've traveled. So you need to know, like Yasho exactly mentioned, it's a conversation. It could be about anything. it's your most authentic self
Mhm.
sitting on that chair.
Yeah.
So just be you and you will
Which
do
also
great.
makes it way easier for anybody who's doing it, because you think that you have to prepare this, that you have to do this. Essentially, you just have to, what Abhay said, be the authentic self
Right.
you are. And also, basically, just leave all the biases, all the things you've thought about how interviews are done, and just come up with the intent that, like, hey, let's have a chat with somebody. Thank you so much, everybody, for taking out time to do this. I'm sure for the listeners also, it was a great experience understanding both the things, that what is the best student who fits in this place, if this fits, if this place is a good fit for them, and then how do you exactly get over here. So a very holistic video you all have made. Thank you. That's
Thank you for having us.
But
थोड़ा incomplete सा feel हो रहा है. कुछ खाना.
हाँ, I mean,
तो
thank
यार
us properly.
thank us properly
Yeah.
यार. खाना कहाँ है?
भाई
खाना.
इधर.
that.
Hey.
Yeah.
मतलब
Oh, is
farmer.
Domino's sponsoring us? We're not even a channel.
नहीं भाई, Joful is sponsoring us.
Oh.
Yes.
Hello.
चलो खा ले.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
तू भी खा.
Hi everyone, I'm Hidarth.
I'm Krishna. And I'm Divyansh. The sole purpose to create this YouTube channel is to make students like you aware of what modern education looks like.
And we're so glad that you actually took the time out to watch this podcast. And we really hope that you got to learn more about Masters Union through our experiences.
We hope you like this video. We'll try making such insightful videos for you.
If you want to know more about Masters Union or generally want any help, we have created a WhatsApp community for the same, and the link is in the description. And the next video is with our director herself, Swati Ganeti ma'am, where we'll talk about what is an ideal student for Masters Union. Thank you for tuning in.